Hi, this is Connie. If this is your first time here, glad you're here. It might help you to watch the first 3 videos in this little tutorial series. We're on the 4th video. This one, we are going to talk about chord progressions. The last video, we talked about chord families and how they function. And today we're going to kind of put that to work and create some progressions. This is all from the workbook, How to Compose Beautiful Piano Music, which can be found on Amazon. I will put a link to it in the description below if you want it your own copy. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, we're going to talk about progressions. Just a recap, this is going back a page. These are the families: tonic, subdominant, and dominant. And their function is tonic is a sense of home. Subdominant leads to or travels to the dominant, and dominants bring you back home to tonic. Okay, that's a very simple way to do it. Of course, there's going to be reasons that you don't do it that way, but for learning's sake, we are going to learn the standard, and then you can decide what you're going to do to deviate from the standard and why you do that. Okay, the context for this page, what we're supposed to do is fill in each of these boxes with a Roman numeral that represents the chords, and we need to follow the guidelines or the functions that we learned of the chords. All right, we're going to use stronger chords more often than weaker chords. The stronger chords are the king of the chords. That was these with a little crown on them. 1 for the tonic, 4 for subdominant, and 5 for dominant. Okay, so now these are all supposed to be up to you. I'm going to go through and I'll talk through what I'm thinking and how I'm doing it, but it'd be great if you could come up with your own. Although some of these are kind of limiting in what's available before and after, but if this ends on 1, we need to start every progression. We want to start it with a 1. So let's start this with 1. Unless, of course, there's a reason that we don't start it with a 1. Very typical. Let's go to the strong subdominant. We'll go to 4. Subdominants lead to a dominant, so then we'll go to a 5. And then back to 1. 5s lead to 1. Pretty easy, right? All right, number 2. Okay, right here, we're doing something different. This is just what it's been given to us. We have not talked about cadences yet. We will understand later why there's a 5 at the end instead of a 1. For now, we just need to follow the rules. So what needs to come in the box right before the 5 is either a subdominant, really, or tonic, or a dominant could go to another dominant. So that one's kind of a free open. Let's start with our tonic 1. And then let's stay on tonic, but go to one of the weaker tonic chords. Let's go 3. Now we'll go to a subdominant chord. Let's not use the strong one. Let's use a 6. 1, 3, 6, 5. All right, that works. That follows all the rules. Now this is a 5 right here, so it's probably going to resolve to a 1. Let's start with a 1. And now let's do a subdominant. We don't want to copy exactly the one we did above. Another subdominant we could use would be a 2. 1, 2, 5, 1. And you can play each of these on the piano. I assume that you know how to read notes and can play most of these chords. Okay, 4. This little number 4 right here. Ooh, the second one is a 4. Well, we're going to start with a 1. Let's go 4, but let's hang out on the subdominant for a minute. Let's go from 4 to a 6, and then to a 5. All right, now the 4 on number 5 right here. Oh, you can't see my little thing till I write it. We'll do 1 right here. Let's do another tonic. We can do, remember 6 can function as either tonic or subdominant. Let's do 6 right here. And it's perfect because it's kind of linked to the tonic, and it's also linked to the subdominant, and then subdominant to a 5. Whoa, this one we have just complete free reign. So let's go 1. I'm going to do the first 3 boxes, I'm going to do variations of tonic. Let's go 1, 2, 6, and end on 5. Or, no, let's not even do that. Let's not end on 5 because we haven't talked about why we end on 5. Let's just end on 1. This is just going to be tonic, kind of a subdominant. A 6 could be either, and tonic all the way through. That's not going to have a real tension in that one to resolve, but that's okay. Okay, another free one. Let's do 1. And this time I'm going to do, how about 4? And I know we don't use the 7 very often, so I'm going to use it once right here. This diminished 7 is going to resolve back to the 1. All right, 1, something, 4. How about, let's stay on tonic. 1, 3, 4, 1. Ooh, we could have resolved it to a 5. That means we end on dominant. Again, we haven't talked about ending on dominant. Or going from a subdominant to a tonic to number 1. And we'll talk about those progressions later, but that actually works. Okay, 1. And actually, how about this? I'm going to change that because in our functions that we've talked about so far, until I explain going from 4 to 1, let's just go from 4 and end on a 5. That fits the functions a little better. Okay, 1. All right, we're going to be on a 6 here. How about 1, 4, subdominant, then we kind of stay subdominant, and then subdominants lead to a dominant, so we're going to end on 5. Then on number 10, 1, 6, 5, and then I'm going to do something. I'm going to stay, no, I'm going to change this to the 5, 7. Do you remember when we added that extra note up on the top? Yeah, I'm going to make this a 5, 7, which means it's an even stronger pull back to 1. All right, this starts on 1. Then we go to the 3, which is still tonic. So then we'll do a subdominant and dominant. All right, 1, subdominant, dominant, tonic. Okay. Now let me just explain really quick. So a lot of these ended on a 5. That is what's called a half cadence. And we'll talk about this more in cadences. But when it ends on a 1, remember 1 is a feeling of home. It feels settled. It feels resolved. 5 is the opposite. It's a feeling of definitely not home. That is when you arrive at your hotel in Hawaii. This is our vacation place. This is not home. So it's going to feel very different from home. And when you end on a 5, it's called a half cadence because it only feels half finished. It's like asking a question and you just leave it hanging there. And then maybe you come back in with another phrase that resolves that and answers the question, but you're going to end the song. You would never end your song on a half cadence. I can't say never, because if you want to do something weird and leave it feeling unfinished, you would end on a half cadence. But for the standard of teaching here, we end always on tonic. But that's what the 5s are for. That's why we would end a phrase, this little progression, on a 5, because it's going to be followed up with one that ends on tonic. And we'll understand that more as we go into more cadences later on in the workbook. If you have any questions or you want to share some of your progressions, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below. And like a perfect cadence, this is the end.